Okay friends, in this 21st module I welcome you all. We will continue our discussion on network layer. We will be stressing on routing process in this particular module. Obviously, the most important network layer services are routing and forwarding, and we stressed on that so far. We will concentrate on those two services specifically in this particular module. Routing algorithms need to reflect the topology change. Remember, if the node was there earlier case, B was working and then B was not working, the topology changes. The line from B to receiver was working on one instance, the other instance it was not working. That is to be reflected in routing algorithm. Then and then the packet will be routed in the right fashion. Okay. So, that is to be reflected, and how that is done we will talk about that as well. We will look at an IETF standard called link state algorithm in this particular module, and we will also look at criteria for good routing algorithms. Okay. What are the criteria and how those criteria make sense in real world case, and we will also look at simplified architecture of router for us to understand the forwarding process and the complexities involved in that process. Okay. So, here you can see here is my network. It is a very simple, very small network. Here I have D, a B can send to D if I will have to send something to I. So, that is the reason the routing table of B says if I want to send something to I, my next router is D. Now, when D becomes inactive, obviously the next path, the next best path is this. So, it should say that see. Now, this is what I mean by topology change is reflected in routing algorithm, okay, routing table. Choosing alternate paths. Now, it is quite possible that two packets may choose different paths. Here is an animation which is showing. You can see that he is going through one path, its sender is O, receiver is L, but the second packet takes some other path. You can see it is the other path. Okay. And you can see this is the first path, the path the first packet took, and this is the path the second packet took. But depends on the routing table change at I. Okay. So, that happens because meanwhile, the routing table of I changes to something else. Okay. And that is I mentioned before 322 terabits per second by a Cisco router is a very great speed, and you will have to do forwarding at that speed. So, that forwarding is pretty complex at this speed. Okay. So, forwarding algorithm is embedded in hardware sometimes, uses a lot of parallelism, like many things are happening together. For example, you may be processing 100 packets together, okay, and route them together. Routing algorithms continue functioning in optimized manner despite line failure and nodes changing their network, and traffic flow is dynamic and changing, and so on and so forth. Dynamic and flexible routing algorithm means what? It has to adapt to changing requirements of the user. If the user starts sending at higher speed, should make sure that it is managed, or user moves his node from one place to the other, it has to adapt to it, or whenever there is a congestion in the network, it should reroute that traffic okay, out of that congested area, and so on and so forth. So, there are many things needed. Whenever you talk about inter-AS algorithms, you need to actually that routing process does not depend on all this, it depends on the type of policies that you choose for routing. Okay. And here are two examples: communication from South Korea to US should not pass through North Korea, and data originated from Airtel customer should not pass through Reliance AS. Now, the problem is that this thing might change. Now, the first thing might not change in this thing recent this thing, but it is quite possible that Airtel and Reliance merged into a single company, and that just vanishes. This policy just vanish, because the policy basically reflects business relationships which keep on changing. Okay. So, the policy keeps on changing, and that is the reason BGP is one of the most complicated protocols of the internet. Okay. It is very complicated, but intra-AS algorithm only needs to concentrate on shortest path and congested path and all that, and not only the policy based routing. Okay. In both cases, dynamic network conditions must be considered. Okay. Good algorithms continuously monitor networks and then choose the best path based on the current information that they have. Forwarding performance is the next thing that we are going to talk about. Okay. Forwarding algorithms are not implemented as algorithm many times, because just formula. So, you just do it and find your path. Okay. And how that is done, there is a very good book by Professor Thomas Verghese, who he used to work with Cisco, and now is working at a professor in some college in US, some university somewhere. But that book is excellent, and I provided that reference in the handout. So, you may read that. So, basically it is about how to find multiple parallel paths and do that thing through doing some tricks to do it faster. Okay. And here are some tricks: clever techniques used by smart programming, for example, using smart pointers to do it faster, jumping directly to that place, embedding critical part of logic in hardware. Okay. Okay. The performance of routing is not very critical, but the forwarding is. Why? Because the routing itself, it takes periodically. If it is not done for a while, it is not much of a trouble, but forwarding, every packet will have to be forwarded. So, that is very critical. Okay. The router must scale up with the size of network and the traffic that increases. The two things are very critical. So, how router copes up with this increase in number of nodes or increase in the traffic is very critical. Okay. And additionally, router should also provide some quality of service like delay guarantee, jitter guarantee. For voice and video traffic, you need real time kind of a system. I have talked about that case earlier, and that is true here as well. Not only that, here additional requirements of router performance are sometimes decided by whether what will they do in the case of failover. Okay. So, if one router fails, the other router takes charge of it and start functioning as if nothing has happened. Okay. High availability solutions require spare routers who continuously function, execute the very instruction the normal router is executing. So, when that router goes down, this router will take place, the spare router takes place, and users will not have a clue about that. That is called high availability. Okay. Routing algorithm, here are some jobs that they will have to do. First thing is that they will have to collect routing information, they will have to process that routing level information and generating the routing table. These are the three steps. Collection of routing information, they will have to construct their own information and send it to all, and also receive that information from others. Once they receive information from everybody else, they will have to compile that information and then process that information. Once they process that information, they will get that routing table. So, that is the process, and we will be looking at how link state packets do that in this particular module. Here is a very simplified architecture of a router. Router is very complex device, but then this is something which is very simple. We have two different types of ports, one is called input port, the other is called an output port. In true sense, there are no such distinction, every port is input as well as output, but anyway our discussion does not it will not make much of a difference to our discussion. We have done this thing to simplify our job of explanation. So, the packet 1 coming here, packet 2 coming here, and the packet 1 will have to go to this output port, and the packet 2 has to go to this output port. The switching logic sitting in between has to do that process. So, once that is done, we will reach to that required port and it is sent. It is quite possible that a typical port receives multiple packets, and when a typical port receives multiple packets, we will have to enqueue them and then send them out one by one. So, there are three jobs to be done. Whenever a packet arrives at a typical port, and remember every input port contains a copy of the routing table that is generated. So, this port will look at the input packet, extract the destination address and look at this thing in the routing table, and that job is known as lookup, that happens here. Once lookup is done, second job is to move that packet to a specific port, and that is known as switching. Switch moves that port, move that packet to the specific port. And the last thing is called queuing, because that if the output port contains multiple packets and one packet is already on, the other packet will have to wait in a queue. So, that three jobs of router is lookup, switching and queuing, which is basically three segments of forwarding process, are very critical for functioning. Okay. So, let us look at the lookup process first. Okay. So, here is one example. I have just got address prefixes. I do not write complete address. Why I want to reduce this? Because one interesting reason is that if I use prefixes, I do not need to worry about whether it is an IP version 4 address or IP version 6 address. I can use any address. Second reason is that if when I am using prefixes and I use more number of, in fact, if I reduce that size, I will require less number of prefix, and in fact, the best solution is when number of prefixes equals number of outgoing lines, because anyway if I have 3 outgoing lines, every input I will have to divide into 3 outgoing lines only. So, if I can do that, is the best thing for me. So, here are two reasons why you have this prefixes rather than complete addresses. Okay. How the packets are processed? Anyway, I just talked about them here. It is a formal way of doing that. The header is read, destination address is extracted, send the packet to other user. Okay, so that is the first thing, packet header is processed. It has to also do, the router has to, and that is process. Other routing jobs, now it will have to learn about the topologies, will have to communicate with other routers. So, that is to be done. Okay. So, you will have to send packet to other users, also receive packets from other users and process them. You will also have to handle errors. As I said earlier, router does not only have to forward, they will have to do many other jobs, okay, household chores. So, here is one more. So, look at the checksum and decide whether the packet is corrupted. If the packet is corrupted, it will have to be dropped and then ICMP packet is to be sent back and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay. And when you are sending an ICMP packet, somebody else also will be able to do that. You should also be able to process that ICMP packet. So, that is the fourth job. So, here are 4 typical jobs an IP layer need to perform or network layer has to perform. Okay. After lookup, we have switching logic. Packets coming to input port are to be switched to the output port, that is to be done. It is quite possible, the best case is where we have fixed input ports, fixed output ports, and they are all exclusively different. For example, I have 4 ports, I have 4 output ports, all of them have the same speed 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going here, this is going there, here it is and here it is. Everybody has exclusive output port, every input port has an exclusive output port, everybody is working at the same speed. It is a great thing. I do not need to have any issues with this, I do not need to worry about anything. It is a great solution. That is not observed in practice though. It is quite possible that one port receives more number of packets than others are just do not receive, but that one port is, for example, GSEB results are announced, okay, Gujarat State Education Board results are announced and that website is connected to a typical port. You probably will see the traffic on that port at this point of time, or on India Pakistan final is being played somewhere and that website, the Creek Info website or some website which is showing that live match. So, that port obviously will observe more traffic. So, that is the point. Okay. What you want is this switching has to happen in the fastest possible way. The best thing is every port has direct connection to every other port. So, if you have n input port and n output port, you have complete m into n connection. So, sending from one port to any other port is a direct job, you do not need to bother much. So, that is the great thing, but that requires lot of hardware, and when you do not have that amount of hardware, you will not be able to work. Okay. High end routers actually are more expensive because they provide more hardware for more number of connections. Okay. There are a lot of different types of switches and how that is managed, and all that is also quite interesting, but we will not be covering in this particular module. You can refer to our reference too. Okay, my DCN book, which describes this thing a little more detail. Okay. Queuing at the output port, the third job of third segment of the forwarding process. Okay. If the input and output ports work at the same speed and eventually distributed traffic, you do not actually need queuing, but when I just said that it is quite possible that one port is more heavily loaded than the other one, that output port requires the incoming packets to be queued, and again this buffer space is additional memory is needed, and routers become more expensive. So, high end routers become more expensive for the other reason as this. Okay. So, when they are competing for output, you need adequate size of buffers, and faster the forwarding process is, obviously more number of packets are flowing in, more number of packets are going out, you need more adequate number of buffers there. And there are some auxiliary functions of router which we will talk about. Obviously, process the packet headers and look at the time to leave field and make sure that if time to leave is 0, then it is dropped. Okay. Take part in the routing process, update current routing table, generate ICMP. There is something called IGMP, Internet Group Management Protocol, that also works here. There is something called Simple Network Management Protocol, so kind of. This basically is an application layer protocol, but you still need to manage a few things at network layer. Okay. And these are obviously important, but not as important as forwarding, so they can take a back seat for a while, but then you will have to do it. Okay. One critical job a network layer should do is better balancing. For example, here are two paths, okay, and you need to send. So, you need to make sure that both paths are used in an equal fashion. Okay. Now, let us look at link state routing process, which is de facto standard, de jure standard rather, it is the standard given by IETF for its routing algorithm called OSPF, open shortest path first. This is the algorithm used there. OSPF is little different than this thing, it is based on this algorithm, but has something more. Again, if you want to read more about OSPF, you can refer to my second book on networking, DCN book, but we will talk about LS here. Okay. It works in two phases. In the first phase, it collects information about all neighbors and send it to everybody, broadcast to every other member of the network. In second phase, it collects information from all neighbors. Once that information is collected, it will construct a topology, network topology, and then based on that network topology, it decides best path for every destination, and once it decides best path for every destination, it will construct this routing table. Okay. So, that is how it is working, and let us see how it goes. Here are some characteristics. Because it reports everything to every other person in every cycle. Suppose if I have 5 neighbors, I inform everybody that I have 5 neighbors. Now, one of the neighbor has gone down, the next cycle I say I have 4 neighbors, the fifth one has gone down, everybody will learn about that. That is the power, that is one of the best things about LS, which is compared to the previous algorithm which we have not seen here in this particular course, distance vector, had that disadvantage. Okay. This is the advantage of it. Okay. But then the problem is link state packets broadcast to every other member every almost by default is 10 seconds. Every 10 seconds it is broadcasting, it consumes a lot of bandwidth, but remember LS is used for interior routing, and because it is used for interior routing, it is owned by a single party, and that is the reason why you can expect a good bandwidth available there. So, usually there is no problem here. Okay, it uses two different fields, one is called sequence number and the other one is called age. You know, every link state packet broadcasted will carry a sequence number, and we know why sequence number is used, because a receiver will be able to get 2 packets with sequence number 5, the other one is sequence number 7. Obviously, 5 is older and is to be thrown away. I have latest link state update, so I will just use that. Okay. Why age? Age is also very critical, I will talk about that later. Okay. And here is a typical network setup for which we are going to continue talking about. Now, please understand that this network means what? Every node actually is a network in this case. Every node is a network, and this is basically an AS, autonomous system. Okay. So, typical setup that I am talking about. A actually is a network that will contain many nodes inside, and most of the cases we will just assume that here to here, here to here. Sorry, I am talking about link state. So, here are routers. Every one is a router. It is not AS. Sorry, each node is a router. Okay. And they are that node is also connected to this router is also connected to some nodes. So, we are not looking at those nodes right now. Here we are only looking at this routers, and we assume that these routers belong or represent some networks. Okay. The link state process, what you have to do? The process is pretty simple. What I have to do is, suppose if I have this network, I know about these 3 nodes. Okay. I get their information and prepare a table. Let us call it A, B and C, and the distance to 2, 3 and 5. So, I will just do it A, B, C and their distance 2, 3 and 5. This is my link state packet. Now, I will add a header to it. Okay. So, this is how a link state packet is constructed. Once I do that for all my neighbors, I will send it to everybody else in the network. So, everybody in the network will receive information that from me, and I may be D. So, I say that I am D, and A is 2 hops away, 2 milliseconds away, B is 3 milliseconds and C is 5 milliseconds away. So, this is what I am telling. Okay. So, that is a link state packet, and here node and delay, here is one example. Okay. So, header contains 3 important fields. First is sender's ID. Why sender's ID? Because the receiver will be able to understand that this has come from whom. Okay. Sequence number, I have already told you. Age is also important. As I said, we will wait a while to understand why age is needed. Every link state packet get increasing sequence number. Obviously, the first one is 1, second is 2 and so on. Obviously, for anybody who is receiving it to understand which one is latest. Okay. And receiver selectively floods the incoming packet, will not send that packet to all outgoing lines, will only send to outgoing lines from where the packet has not come, because it is flooded. Suppose if here is a node and it has 5 neighbors, it receives a link state packet from here, also receive the link state packet from here, the same link state packet, because it is broadcasted, it might receive. So, what will this do? Will only forward that packet to remaining 2, to this, and this will only send the acknowledgement, will not send the packet. Okay. This is called selective flooding, will not flood everywhere, it only selectively floods. Okay. So, sends ACK2 lines from the packet arrived and send packet to other lines, send packet only to the other lines. What is the importance of age? Now, what if now the problem sequence number is great thing, but then it will create a problem. For assume that I am sending a packet with sequence number 10 and it becomes 1000. Okay. Now, the receiver will receive it, but then all subsequent packets will be lost, because it will not accept, because all subsequent packets 11, 12, 13, 14 will assume that these are all older packets, will not accept them. So, what is the solution to this problem? Will only store this packet for some time and then throw it away. Every packet is not stored for a very long period. Okay. So, we will have to be purged, that entry has to be purged, and age will help. How age will help? Suppose if I am sending a packet, I received a packet, let me again take an example. I received a packet, okay, with sequence number 1000. And usually the age value is always 60 seconds. So, I have stored that thing in my routing table, and I get subsequent packets 11, 12 and I consider them old and I will not accept them, but every second this value is reducing. Okay. I receive every 10 second a link state packet. In fact, I am going to discard 6 packets, but after discarding 6 packets, this 60 value becomes 0, because it is basically time. When this becomes 0, this entry is purged. and when I get a packet with 17, I have no entry. So, I can let that packet in and I will have a new entry. Okay. So, that is the power of H field. If there is a problem with sequence number, somewhere I get a wrong sequence number entered, H can help that entry to be purged. Okay. There are some other refinements provided by LS. All LS packets are acknowledged. So, you know whether the other party is already received the link state packet. Not only that, whenever there is a normal traffic, suppose if you are a router and you receive a packet, you will not just let it go outside immediately. You just see if there is a normal traffic going on. If there is a normal traffic, you just make it wait. Only when the normal traffic is over, the line is free, you send LS packet. What does that mean? The normal traffic, the LS packet does not compete with normal traffic, and you do not like make others pay for your link state packet. So, users will not feel any speed reduction. Okay. Even when the line is free, the LS packets are not sent immediately, you just wait. So, it basically floods. So, you are going to receive from all neighbors. So, you receive from all neighbors, you do not need to send it to anything. So, what you do, you just wait and you receive from everybody. Once you receive from everybody, you just send to those which are from where you have not received. Okay. So, you do not just broadcast everything, you reduce that broadcasting. So, that is the other, and I have talked about this selecting flooding process. Okay. Here is an example how you have data received from all routers in case of E, the first network that we have seen. Here it is, and I receive from everybody else from the network, and here are the neighbors of B and here are the delays. Okay. So, this is what I have. Once I have, I know that, in fact, you can see that from B that, so it is B, it is connected to E, D and A, and you know A is K is connected to A, something like this, and K is also connected to H. Okay. D is connected to A, H, D is connected to A, H, okay. G and B, B and G, something like that. If you continue doing it, eventually you will be able to construct the network. So, what you get is this, you get this. Not only you get the network, you also get the value delay. What does that mean? That delay you will be able to find shortest path to everybody. Here is, for example, here is the destination where I want to send my packet. So, what I can do is form, and remember the same data is received by everybody. So, every router in the network will construct same topology. Okay. So, the second step that you will have to do is you just prune paths which are expensive. For example, you just prune this 6 because it is expensive, 8 which is expensive, 7 I do not have an alternative. So, otherwise I will prune that as well. Eventually, when I prune everything I get this, and you can see that this is called a spanning tree for a destination E, and this is constructed by everybody together. So, K knows that if I want to send something to E, the next best neighbor is A. B will know that is directly reaching to this thing. H knows that if something is to be given to E, the best path is to D. J knows that it is H. So, everybody for E, everybody learned about this. For every destination, similar spanning tree is to be constructed. Okay. Once you construct that spanning tree, you know best path to that destination, and as I said, this similar spanning trees are constructed by all nodes. Eventually, for every node you have this, for every network what is the best next router and what exactly is the delay. Okay. You can calculate and you can see that, and this is basically our routing table, and this is how LinkState generates this routing table. With that note, I will conclude this particular module. What we have seen in this module? We have looked at network layer services, specifically routing, and we have seen that routing requires routing table updates based on the topology change, and how this topology change affected this thing is studied using an example of link state algorithm. Link state algorithm is a standard from IETF and is implemented in form of something called open shortcut path first or OSPF, and we have seen that how 3 steps are carried out. Okay. You first of all you construct the topology, then take the spanning tree for every destination, and then for every destination you just find out what exactly is the next best route, okay. And that will give you an idea of eventually results into a routing table. With that conclude. Thank you all friends.